Hey sassy heads! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sandra and thank you for joining me for another Plan With Me video. I'm super excited about this one because I can show you the fun little cover that I won at a recent planner meetup I went to. It's super stinking cute and it's got cats on it with glasses. Okay, can you appreciate the cuteness right now? Really love it. I believe Jane's Agenda made it and I love it, so I'm really happy I won it. So let's just get right into it. I normally take out the pages whenever I'm going to be doing like a monthly spread. I just really feel more comfortable that way. That way everything lies flat for the type of stuff that I do, because as you guys know, I like to stamp and do all kinds of things. These are actually some rub-ons I picked up at Target for $1. Rub-ons are very similar to kind of like the fake sort of tattoos I used to put on as a little kid, except you don't need water, you add pressure in order to make them stick. Now these are really fun. The only thing is sometimes with cheaper rub-ons, they don't transfer as well, so I did have that issue with these. I only had like one of them that fully transferred really well, but that's okay because they still looked really cute, so I made it work, as Tim Gunn would say. So I'm going ahead and cutting out all the ones that I know I'm going to use already, and I'm taking off the backing that they come with, kind of like the way you would with a sticker, but they still have a film on top, so you're just rubbing and then eventually you can just pull that film right off. You want to make sure to add enough pressure so that it fully transfers, but again with these I feel like since they are kind of a little cheap, they don't, I mean, just because you add the pressure doesn't mean that they're going to transfer, and it may not be your fault. I had that same issue with this one that I'm adding right now, that I saw that it ended up coming out streaky even though I applied the proper amount of pressure, and I've used quite a lot of rub-ons, so I know for the most part that that should have been enough pressure. So if you haven't used rub-ons before, then you might think you're doing something wrong. You're not. That's just my personal opinion, but I still think they look really cute, so either way I'm doing it. It comes with that little popsicle stick in the pack, so that you can do the rubbing on of it. And you are going to see that as you pull up, sometimes you will get, you know, spaces that come off. I was trying to save that one from having that issue, but again, there's nothing I could do because they were on the cheaper side. But either way, I still think it gave it kind of like an artsy abstract look. So I don't feel like it was a complete loss because I felt like I could kind of work with it. So I did, and I really liked the colors and everything like that. The flowers seemed to transfer okay, which I was happy about because I was like, we'll see what happens here. And I believe that little leaf one also transferred okay. So it was only certain ones, the bigger ones that were fuller of color, tended to have the most issues from what I can remember of doing this. I'm also going to be using some of my stamps that I released last month. This is Chubby Bunnies, and it's an appropriate name because these are such cute little bunnies, and I think this is such a fun set for springtime or anytime if you love bunnies. So I think these are really cute, and I'm going to use certain characters. I'm trying to decide where I want to put them exactly, just to have them kind of like hanging out around the page. So I decided to add him right there because I really liked the positioning, and he's just so cute poking out like that. And then I decided to add two more. This one, which is a half little head bunny, which I think is perfect for making him pop out of boxes and things like that on your pages, and he fits perfectly in the weekly layouts as well, so it's just really fun. And then I decided I wanted to have one in a hot air balloon, so I proceeded to go and stamp this off because I knew that I wanted to separate the basket from the balloon part, which you don't necessarily have to do this because the bunny does actually fit. It's made to fit in the hot air balloon, but I wanted to have the ears showing, so that's part of the reason that I decided to do this. I did prep that stamp with an eraser because it is brand new, so it had some residue on it. That tends to happen with photopolymer stamps. Keep in mind that eraser trick really helps whether it's acrylic or photopolymer or any other material. Even though photopolymer tends to be the best stamp material, the only thing that I found that surpasses photopolymer is rubber, and I've tried every sort of stamp and have been stamping for like a decade now, so take my word for it. I went ahead and cut these out. It would have been easier to color them had I not cut them out, so keep that in mind. But sometimes I forget when I'm on camera, like the steps that I normally would take when I'm not filming myself, if that makes sense. I'm using N1 to shade this little bunny. I'm putting some shade under his arms, and then I'm shading from each side just to create kind of like more depth rather than just leaving it white, but you could totally just leave it white. It's really up to you. Then I'm adding some R11 for the little cheeks, and then I'm trying to figure out how I want to position him. I also went ahead and colored in the little ears off camera, and then I'm just going to glue the basket down with some of my Tombow Monomulti glue, which is a champ as far as I'm concerned. I love that glue, it's my favorite. I'm also coloring in the little balloon, and I'm using all these colors in the order that they're written from top to bottom. I'm using R11 and then shading with some R20, and then I'm using BG11 and then shading with some BG32. Again, this is also to just give some depth, and then I'm leaving some white in the middle because it's going to create sort of like a shadow. And again, I just like the way that kind of stuff looks, but it's up to you if you want to color it all in or do it your own way. I just like to let you guys know what I do, since a lot of people ask me how I color my images, what I do. So I've been trying to leave these in the videos. So if you guys like me to leave this type of stuff in the videos, let me know in the comments below, just so that I know what you guys like to see. And then again, I went and grabbed some pigment ink. It's my TheSassyClub ink, and I just punched it down on the little acrylic block, pounced it down. I don't know what I'm saying. And then I used my water brush to grab the color and create that same sort of depth effect. So you really can do this whether or not it's Copics or you're just using the inks in your stash. And as you can see, it turned out really, really cute as far as I'm concerned. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these onto there. I've been wanting to use this particular image and the little air balloon for a while, so I figured I would use it on this spread just because it's super cute, and I think I might use it on my weekly as well. We shall see. But I want to see how it'll look with different colors and kind of mix and match in it. And so I went ahead and stuck those there, and then I added a little line with my little, writing pen just to make it look like a hot air balloon actually. So I really like the way that turned out. Now I'm just pulling out my Faber-Castell pens, or as I call them, my preciouses. AKA don't touch my pens. As you guys know, I did do a video talking about some of my favorite pens, and these were one of them. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it in the description box below. It's like not the last video, but the video before that I did, and it's really helpful in talking about the different pens that I use and why I like them, why I use them, and it's just kind of like a review of my top 5 favorite pens at the moment, so you should go check that out. And then this yellow one that I did, I decided to kind of outline it with the black because it is kind of a little harder to see, especially on camera. And even though I can see it on the paper, I don't want to not register that it's there because it's not super vibrant. So I decided it would be fun to kind of just outline them, letting the yellow kind of show through on the background of it and give it that little pop of color. So that's exactly what I did. I did that as well with a purple that you will see me using, which is from the pastel pack of the Faber-Castell colors. The pastel ones are very true to color. They're very light. So you want to keep that in mind when using them, that you're not going to get a ton of visibility like you are with, let's say, this super pretty vibrant pink that you see right there that's super visible. So, which I love because I feel like it's kind of like the perfect color pink in my opinion. And then I'm doing the orange as well, which technically with the orange you see it pretty well, but I don't know if I decided to outline some of the words as well just because I kind of liked the way that looked after I did it. I think I did it to the green for sure, but again, as you can see, the green is very visible as well, so it's really up to your personal preference. I have a lot of fun kind of mix and matching and doing different things with my letters, and I tend to do that a lot when I'm not necessarily filming, so I'm trying to incorporate that more into my actual videos as well for you guys, because I know you kind of enjoy seeing me do different things, and I really just like the way it looks to kind of add color shadows in a way to the letters. So yeah, I really like the way that turned out, and the great thing is those Faber-Castell pens pretty much dry instantly, so you can put them on top of any sort of mixed media stuff. That's all stuff that I go into in that video, all the different properties of why I like those pens. I'm going in and coloring my bunny images that I stamped directly onto the paper, just to show you guys that you could definitely stamp directly onto the paper. You just can't use Copics when you're stamping directly on because they will go through and bleed through your paper. They're great markers, but they are very inky, so they do go through. So this is another option that you can use besides color pencils. You can use watercolors. I took some gray, and I'm using this acrylic block because water brushes tend to let out a lot of water, and you have to be very careful that you're not overdoing it, especially on a planner page where you can oversaturate your paper and you can kind of warp it, and that's really easy for that to happen. It's not like the end of the world if it does, but you just want to keep that in mind just so that you don't ruin any of your pages, and then you look up to the sky and say, why? Yeah, so you're gonna see I actually have a little mess up in this video, but I kind of roll with the punches. As I always tell you guys, it's not the end of the world if you do mess up. You kind of just have to work with it and do what you gotta do. I'm using the Swan Body Loves You set. It has a little flower frame that I really love in it, so I decided to use that and stamp it throughout the page. I'm using more Sassy inks in Macaroon and Tweety Bird, and they kind of go perfectly with the colors going on in this spread, so I decided to add 2 of those. I'm kind of layering layering on the stamping and deciding kind of when is a good time to stop, which you guys know if you've seen my other Plan With Me videos, that I tend to kind of just like fly by the seat of my pants, and whenever it feels like it's enough is when I stop. So that could be different for everyone. Not everyone likes to keep going, or some people like things simple. I'm not one of those people. I kind of just go with whatever I like and hope that it turns out well. I had no plan for this spread, I just want to say that, but I kind of just wanted to do something that I knew that was spring, and it kind of morphed into this. I'm also using that new Bible journaling stamp set that I released last month as well. I freaking love this stamp set, and I can't wait to use it more and more. Whether or not you're Bible journaling, this is a great stamp for you. As you can see, I stamped the little image from it right there because, you know, Easter Sunday is coming up, so I'm super excited about that. And then you have a little background image that I originally created so that you could create kind of like a cluster of a background effect. So that's exactly what I did here. I did it in different colors, including the sassy pink color, the orangey color that you see there as well, and it just creates a really cool kind of like artsy effect. And I just really love the way it turned out. Honestly, I was like enjoying myself doing this, and I felt like it was really bringing the page together, which is part of the reason that I kind of just keep going with stamping and adding things till it feels right to me, because once I feel like the page kind of has come together for me mentally, then that's when I stop. So I just kept going till I liked the look of it. I decided to add the little church from that set right above Easter Sunday. Thought it would look cute right there, and I didn't have anything going on that particular day that I knew of anyway, because as you guys know, I don't normally plan a lot of things out ahead of time. As far as my monthly goes, I usually keep that for my weekly. I also have these little flowers from that same set that I decided to add kind of like a little bit of a monochromatic effect. Since I had so much color, I thought it would be fun to have some pops of black and white in there by doing that sort of stamping. And then I used that arrow from the same set to kind of just stamp in the coordinating colors. So I added a pink one, a blue one, a purple one, and I kind of just liked having those all like pointing in a certain direction. And then I decided to add one pointing in the opposite direction as well, just because it felt like it needed it. So like I said, I just keep layering until I like the way it looks. And then I randomly decided to cover the headers. I wasn't necessarily going to do that originally, but then I felt like it needed it because it kind of didn't really go with like the whole like florally random theme on the top. So I covered those with paper off camera, but you guys have seen me do that quite a bit on camera as well, so I felt like you guys didn't need to see me doing that. I'm using my watercolors again here. Again, this is a really cheap set of watercolors, so if you're just getting into watercolors, I don't recommend you spend a ton of money. I recommend you just try out just, you know, a random set of watercolors that's cheap, and if you end up liking it, you can always upgrade. But I've been using these forever, knowing that I like watercolors, and I do have a more expensive set, and I keep coming back to these, so you know, they're really good and they get the job done. So I'm using that block just to water down my colors. I use that acrylic block for a lot of things as far as that goes. That's why it's always dirty and gross, but it allows me to kind of just create more of a gradient look with the colors, because if the colors were too strong and I couldn't kind of like water them down the way I'm doing, then you wouldn't get like a mixture of the colors that would look kind of like they flow together better, if that makes sense. So I was really happy with how this turned out. I really liked it, and plus, I mean, you can't go wrong with like freaking rainbow colors. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I always think it looks cute whenever I see it in spreads, and I've been wanting to do kind of like a gradient sort of rainbow spread for a while, so this kind of just happened. Some of my all-time favorite layouts are ones that have been unplanned, so that's why I kind of just usually fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to these sort of things. Sometimes I'll have an idea in my head because something inspired me that I saw in a fashion magazine, or I saw somewhere randomly on a Facebook group, but generally I kind of just go with the flow and just kind of see what organically happens. Here I decided to actually just write in bubble letters for the month of March. I could have used my bubble stamps, which I also have in my shop in case you want to use those, but I thought for fun, just on video, it would be fun to kind of do this on camera for you guys so you can kind of see the process I usually go through. I usually sketch it out with a pencil first and then outline it with my pen. I find that this works best for me personally, just because I know that there's less chances that I'll end up having like an oopsie, and for whatever reason, whenever I film, I always tend to mess up, and you guys will see that on something else that I'm doing here. So I always find it to be rather safe than sorry. If I was just doing this on my own and not filming, then I probably wouldn't care so much to have to outline it with a pencil, but I feel like that's a pretty good rule of thumb if you're afraid you might mess up. There, I'm covering the date because I put 2016 instead of 17, and I literally had just asked my husband, just to double check the year, because for whatever reason I just forget things, especially when I'm filming, and he literally said 17 and I still put the 6. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that little moment. That just goes to show you that I had to kind of improvise. I made up another word, you guys. Add that to my list with Punham. So yeah, sometimes you have to improvise, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to kind of go with the flow and just kind of work with what you got. And at first, I'm not even gonna lie, I was freaking out because like there's no way I could just like pull that up without ripping my page to create a new header. But then I was like, you know what? I got this, girl. So, you know, a roll with the punches, y'all. Then I added that little banner there to cover the actual notes section that was there originally. And as you guys know, I like to add quotes to my pages quite often that either have to do with the time of the month or just something that inspires me or applies to my life at the moment. And I thought this was a really good one because it just has to do with basically how your thoughts can shape your reality. And I agree that that's true. I feel like if you have a positive state of mind, then you're gonna have more positive outcomes, while if you have a negative state of mind, then that sometimes does affect your outcomes. So that's why it's kind of like your mind is a garden and your thoughts are the seeds. And you can't see the R because it's in purple, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably outline that, I believe. Yeah, see, there you go. So you can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. That's the whole quote, but I just added the kind of abbreviated version because I felt it's kind of self-explanatory. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this. If you do like these videos, please give me a thumbs up. I really do appreciate that when you guys do. Leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite color combos are for spring, because I love to hear from you guys. And if you're not already subscribed, be sure and subscribe to my channel, because then you're not going to miss all the fun I have going on. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Don't forget that April 22nd is my new release, and I will have a release video for you guys as well. So be sure and check out TheSassyClub.com for all the products that I used in this video that are currently available. If you're still here, be sure and hit that subscribe button and become an official Sassy Head, and be sure to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I'm always posting sneak peeks of the new stamps that I'm going to be releasing, and I always also do Snapchat sort of stories on my Instagram, you know, the new story feature, except that I called it Snapchat. And also be sure and check out our Facebook group. That is super fun, and you can meet all the other Sassy Heads and what they're doing. And don't forget, April 22nd is the new release, so you're going to want to check that out, and be sure and hit that notification button so you know every time I post a new video.